So Coach, first question I want to say, like, JD was out. So was there a change in game plan, like missing a player like JD, obviously?
I mean, there was a little bit of changes. The thing that sort of stands out in that regard is that we prepare everybody 1 through 15 to be ready for whenever their moment comes, and so we changed a couple of things, but we didn't have to change much because those guys have been just dedicated to the process of being professional basketball players and sort of were ready for their moment. We didn't have to change too much.
And then also I wanted to ask you, can you speak on the performance of Ron Harper Jr. off your bench so far this season?
Yeah, I mean the last, including today, but also the previous 4 games. He started for most of the season. He had a bit of an injury that sort of set him back, and so we've moved him to the bench as he started coming back into this thing, and he's been really good off the bench. And so I think his energy, his leadership, his defense, his shooting, his ability to sort of run the show for the times that we've needed him to run the show. He's been just really, really versatile on both sides of the floor and has been a big part of what we've done.
Yeah, similar question about the bench. Can you just speak to the overall impact your bench had? I know you guys outscored their bench 52-11, so just...
Did we really? Good stat. Yeah, that's great. I didn't know that. No, I think that's sort of part of it, right? Is making sure, like I said earlier, that guy 1 through 15 is ready to rock. And if I had to highlight another guy off the bench there, I would say Jay Scrub. We do this thing where when we win, we give a defensive player of the game, and we have a chain that the guys get to wear, and Scrub earned that thing. I think he had 5 steals, 2 blocks, 11 rebounds. A lot of one really big rebound at the end of the game that sort of sealed it up, and just thought that his presence was huge. And so I appreciate that stat about winning the bench points, but I wanted to make sure that he got a shout out. He was fantastic.
And then question I got for you, Coach, too. Beginning of the game, they jump out to a 10-0 lead. You call a timeout. What was that conversation in that huddle?
I mean, it's just trying to regroup, trying to get the guys settled in. Some of the guys were into roles that they hadn't been in before, and just sort of telling them to breathe, take a deep breath, relax. We're gonna be okay if we just stick to the process of the things that we sort of do on both sides of the ball.
And then one more, too. The big guy on Texas, 7'5", Marion Sharp.
Yeah.
Was there emphasis on shooting the ball at all because he's in the paint?
Yeah, for sure. No, he changes the game. He impacts the game with his size, and sort of he impacts the game in terms of like the matchups that you want to play against him. And so, yeah, he was a massive part of us trying to figure out this game as we were sort of preparing for it and figuring out how we were going to rotate around him and sort of do things. But I thought we for the most part, we handled him pretty well, but he's a load. Yeah, he's a good player.
Can you just speak to how Baylor was able to step up today with a few key players injured, especially just not as a shooter but as an all-around player?
Yeah, no, I thought he was awesome. Part of the thing that made him special tonight was that we just needed him to handle a little bit more than he has recently. He's been able to play a little bit more second side stuff when he plays with JD, but when he gets out there, today we had him handling quite a bit, and I thought he handled that responsibility really well.
And then similar question about Baylor. Fourth quarter, he picks up his 5th foul. How do you sort of navigate that situation as a coach?
Yeah, the first thing is that we needed to get him out. I didn't think he could play 8 stretch without getting another one, and didn't want to lose him for the last 6. So we just had to pick a sort of line of demarcation that we decided, all right, once we get to this point, we're going to bring him back in. And so that was really it. It was just was getting him out and trying to figure out exactly when we were going to bring him back in, and then having a backup plan in case that went wrong. You know what I mean?
One more question about Baylor. Could you just speak to his presence off ball, especially as a cutter and screener?
Yeah, no, he's an excellent screener. I mean, we sort of used him in the last game against Motor City, late game as a screener, because I really we like what he's able to do when he gets the ball in the seam on some of those little hit unders, and he makes really good reads. And so I thought he did the same thing tonight. I thought he was really, really versatile all over the place. He was handling, he was screening, he was doing sort of everything that we were asking him to. Sort of the same thing with Ron. Like, they just bring a lot of versatility, sort of give you a lot of options.